Okay. So we are going to get started. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for the 7th annual Docomomo US Modernism in America Awards. My name is Liz Wojciechis. I'm the Executive Director of Docomomo US, and I am thrilled to welcome so many of you all across the country to our first ever and largest ever virtual awards event. Before we get started tonight, just a few pieces of the usual housekeeping. The awards are being recorded tonight, and they will be available on our YouTube channel in the next few days. We are also live streaming this event to our Facebook page, and as a live event. There will be no videos this evening. We appreciate your patience if we experience any hiccups. So I would like to encourage, as I've said earlier, everyone to say hello in the chat with your name and location, congratulate our winners, and watch for special project links throughout the evening. Before we announce the whopping 18 recipients of this year's awards, one of our annual traditions is to thank our long-standing Docomomo US members who have reached 10 years of membership. Many thanks to all of those celebrating 10 years and to all of you for your membership and support of our work. And now I would like to introduce the president of Docomomo US, Theibaud Prudhomme.
Thanks, Liz. I'm glad and very pleased that you all can join us today in this very important event for us and our advocacy efforts. As you may remember, we started our organization some 25 years ago, but we discovered in the process of advocating for modern architecture that one of the important advocacy efforts was to recognize the incredible, important and significant and very careful and thoughtful work that was taking place across the country. And as Liz just mentioned, we started this only 7 years ago, and we have seen over those 7 years, like we see tonight, a wide array of very remarkable projects. The selection of these projects was made by a jury that this year was chaired by Kim Yao, who is the principal at the Architecture Research Office, which also happens to be one of my colleagues at Columbia University. She is joined in that jury by Hazel Ruth Edwards, professor and chair of the Department of Architecture and College of Engineering and Architecture at Howard University, Alan Hess, an architectural historian and the commissioner of the California State Historical Resource Commission, Robert Ruby of Kevin Champion Ruby landscape architect, Emily Rao Pulitzer, chair of the Pulitzer Art Foundation. And then in addition to that, there are two of our members, Steve Curry and Christine Lazaretto, who joined us in organizing the awards. And of course, also the US Board of Directors, who is responsible for making the selection in the advocacy awards. And with that, I would really like to thank also my fellow board member, Meredith Buzak, because she was the chair of the awards committee and was really very instrumental in making this all happen. So thank you for joining us. And with this, I would like to turn it over to Meredith for the rest of the program.
Thank you, Theibaud. As chair of the awards committee, I'd like to thank all of our winners, our distinguished jury, and our awards committee and staff for making the awards celebration so successful. Many thanks to all of our sponsors for supporting this program and strengthening our work every day. While we miss seeing all of you in person, we're very grateful to our colleagues at Design Within Reach for their generous and ongoing support of our organization and for their lead sponsor support once again of the awards. We may not be under all of those very cool Nelson pendant lights this year, but we are hopeful to be back there next year. Before we jump to the awards, Docomomo US is also hosting our first ever silent auction going on now, in case you were not aware. The auction will be up through November 20th. Click the link in the chat, and someone please outbid me on that classic Eames lounge chair and ottoman designed by our friends, actually not designed by, but donated by our friends at Design Within Reach. And now I would like to welcome Kim Yao to give away the first round of awards. Kim?
Thank you so much for that introduction, and good evening, everybody. I'm Kim Yao, chair of the awards jury, and I will be presenting 4 awards tonight in the design, civic, or institutional category. Before we announce the first award winner, let me just say what an honor it was to chair the jury this year. Design awards juries bring together practitioners and experts to evaluate the caliber and impact of individual projects. Just as preservation combines history, conservation, and architecture and advocacy, Docomomo hosts diverse voices each year for the Modernism in America Awards program. It was truly a pleasure and a privilege to work with the jury this year. And now just a little bit about me to introduce myself. As Teo said, I'm an architect and an educator and also an advocate. I'm principal along with my partners, Stephen Cassell and Adam Murinsky of Architecture Research Office, a New York City-based architecture firm. We embrace a radical diversity of project types, including adaptive reuse and significant restorations, and are the recipient of the American Institute of Architects 2020 Firm of the Year Award. I teach, most recently at Columbia University's Graduate School of Architecture Planning and Preservation, but have taught at the undergraduate and graduate levels in architecture and preservation. And I am currently the 2020 president of AIA New York. New York City has the largest and oldest chapter of the AIA in the country, and we have been focused this year on a data visualization and advocacy project called Visualize NYC 2021. This project will create the foundation for ongoing advocacy work focused on the evolving public realm, climate change and resilience, housing and homelessness, and public health as we face historic elections in New York City in 2021. This year, the Modernism in America Awards jury evaluated a diverse range of outstanding projects. The award recipients are distinguished by the quality and impact of their work. Faced with the challenge of appropriately integrating new systems and technologies, improving building performance, and in many cases, reimagining spaces to host new modes of occupation, these projects choreograph transformations that augment and elevate the experience of these important modern works. It is my pleasure to announce awards in the design, civic, or institutional category. Sorry. The Civic Institutional Design Award of Excellence for the restoration of the Ford Foundation Center for Social Justice. Completed by Kevin Roche, John Dinkeloo, and Associates in 1968, the Ford Foundation is a modernist architectural icon. The restoration emphasized the importance of maintaining the original character of the building while maximizing openness, inclusivity, sustainability, and accessibility. The landmarked garden atrium was restored to its original Dan Kiley aesthetic while incorporating a new brick pathway to improve wheelchair access and allow for more inclusive circulation, and a touch and smell loggia garden with braille totem signage for the visually impaired. Through efficient workplace programming, the foundation's office footprint was reduced, allowing for more space for convening and like-minded nonprofits. After a 2-year construction period, the building reopened as the Ford Foundation Center for Social Justice. More than a headquarters, the center is a vibrant, accessible hub for champions of a just society. And now I would like to welcome Robin Claire Avia of Gensler to accept the award on behalf of the project team.
Thank you, Kim, and thank you all for this incredible honor. It is truly an honor to be recognized by Docomomo, the pinnacle of excellence in modernism design. This award reflects our dedicated stewardship to this architectural landmark and our determined optimism to not only preserve this building, but propel the foundation into the future. It has been a privilege to work with such a talented team of designers and consultants, but most of all, alongside a client with a consistent and steadfast mission. What began as a project to perform code-required upgrades quickly turned into the opportunity to renovate this building by making it more open, inclusive, and sustainable. These successful collaboration efforts have allowed us to elevate the importance of the Ford Foundation mission through the exemplary restoration of this iconic site. The result is the embodiment of mid-century detail and a building that serves as the backdrop of modern-day life. Preservation of a building is not simply the restoration of furniture, the reuse of brick, or the reclamation of other physical elements. It is about cultivating the unique spirit of a place and manifesting it in a way that is meaningful and impactful for years to come. The Ford Foundation is a civic gesture of beauty and excellence, and even if you are never impacted by the amazing philanthropy this organization provides, or if you haven't yet experienced the frontier of social change that is spearheaded by the stewards here, this building itself is a modernist gift of importance in the world. On behalf of our entire team, thank you again.
Congratulations, such a beautiful project. We were really excited to award it this year. Our next award is a Design Citation of Merit for the restoration of Richards Medical Research Laboratories, designed by architect Louis I. Kahn. This National Historic Landmark building retains a high degree of integrity, and prior to the renovation, it had undergone no major campaigns of alteration. Plagued with functional issues from the start, the building suffered from outdated building systems, and the exposed concrete and cinder block walls and ceilings became so soiled and damaged that they had been covered up. This technically challenging renovation began with a change to the primary use of the building from wet lab science research to a dry lab with computationally intensive uses. The key technical drivers of the restoration were glazing and the building systems. The dichotomy between sustaining the laboratories as an architectural icon and its functional and environmental performance defined it for over 50 years. The renovation has resulted in a high-performance building admired by both the users and the local architectural community. Please help me welcome David Fixler, FAIA, to accept the award.
Thank you very much, Kim. First, I want to thank Docomomo for 24 years and counting of active membership, a more wonderful professional organization I have never belonged to, and I look forward to 20 more years. So thank you all. This was really, this started with the University of Pennsylvania's very enlightened approach to addressing what Kim pointed out was a dysfunctional but highly architectural celebrated work of modern architecture. So our charge was to repurpose the program to accommodate the building. And by making it a computational intensive building and going away from fume hoods, we were able to realize through the devices of our interior planning and the kit of parts that we made, a building which now was much more like what Inga Safran, I think rightly determined, was something that Kahn always wanted it to be. He was never really happy with the way it came out on the inside to begin with. We are perhaps pushing closer to that ideal. We also were charged by the university, of course, with making an energy frugal structure, which means that we balanced preservation, this is a National Historic Landmark structure, and performance as carefully as we could. We did upgrade the envelope. We did do very aggressive systems upgrades, and we achieved 40% energy savings, we think at least, if not better. I want to do, importantly, though, a shout out to the big team. First, the team of Louis Kahn, August Commandant, and Fred Dubin, the mechanical engineer, August Commandant structural, who conceived this building to begin with. Then the team at the University of Pennsylvania, David Hollenberg, the now emeritus university architect, Maureen Ward, who was the head of planning at the medical school, Bill Whitaker in the archives, Ke Feng in the university architects, and Stephen Moore. For our envelope consultants, Retta Polinsky and Aaron Davis from Heinches, Jim Balella and his team from Urban Engineers who did the systems, Atkin Olson Shade, Mike Shade in particular, who carried this project through to completion, and my colleagues at EYP, Matt Shalafu, Andy Wong, David Thomas, Eric Klinger, and Gene Harris, and a whole host of others. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, David, and to the whole team.
Thank you.
The next award is a design citation of merit for the restoration of the Arvon Fraser Library, designed by Ralph Rapson. Built in 1963 as a credit union and converted to a public library in 1967, Rapson's work in brutalism was especially distinctive, imbued with a liveliness and sense of surprise. The building's defining original features include a floating concrete waffle slab ceiling structure with skylights, board-formed site walls, and undulating brick and glass envelope. For years, only the first floor of the structure was occupied, and the lower level was abandoned due to inaccessibility and years of water infiltration. After local residents were adamant that it be preserved, improvements were made, including access to all areas of the building, flexible spaces supporting changing needs, and the design of the new opening between the two floors, which provides light and openness to the windowless lower level. Please help me in welcoming Todd Grover of McDonald and Mack Architects to accept the award. Todd.
Thank you. I want to congratulate the entire team that worked hard to make this project a success. It was not one individual or organization that was alone in this project. It was truly an entire team collaboration that generated complex solutions in extremely creative ways to meet the mission of the library, which is to nourish minds, transform lives, and build community together. While the collaboration included many members, 3 played a significant role in this transformation: Hennepin County Libraries and the county's Design and Construction Department. The collaboration of McDonald and Mack Architects and Quinn Evans Architects with our entire team of designers and engineers, and Shaw Lundquist and their talented group of contractors that were instrumental in the success of this project. It is also important to emphasize the role that the neighborhood, the city, and preservation groups played in heightening the awareness of this building. As noted, the fate of the building was not always certain. For years, only the first floor of the 2-story structure was occupied, and a facility planning report concluded that the library should be demolished because of its condition issues, development pressures, and programming inefficiencies. But local residents were adamant that this architectural landmark, a cornerstone within the neighborhood, be renovated. The county listened and in 2016 embarked on this renovation, searching to find creative ways to make it all work. The success of the design required a sensitive hand, respecting the significant details and spaces of the original design, but also a skill for creativity to integrate new uses and spaces for the complex programming needs of the library. After the building opened, the library staff noted, contrary to popular belief, a public library is not a simple repository for books. It is a beacon of hope, inspiration, and acceptance for every member of the community. The renovated library epitomizes this description. It exceeds all of our expectations. This project is a case study in stewardship, from the community's activism to save the building to the county's determination to make it a truly modern library, and the architect's creative approach to bring these aspirations to reality. But most importantly, this project illustrates how modernist buildings can be successfully reprogrammed, updated, sensitively modernized, and preserved. For the entire team and the community, we thank Docomomo US and the awards jury for recognizing this transformational project with the 2020 Merit Citation. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd, and congratulations.
Thank you.
The next award is a special citation for mural preservation for the restoration of Wayne Thiebaud's Water City, the mural at the Sacramento Municipal Utility District, or SMUD, headquarters. Completed in 1960 by Dreyfus and Blackford Architects, the SMUD headquarters building is a modernist icon. After 60 years of continuous use, this extensive rehabilitation took a holistic approach, considering the site's park-like landscape, the building envelope and central core, and a unique mural by internationally recognized artist Wayne Thiebaud. Constructed of Italian glass mosaic tile, the mural was entirely cleaned and repaired, including grout and tile replacement where necessary. Lighting of the mural was critically important, and a high-efficiency LED lighting system was employed to evenly illuminate the mural. This award recognizes the project team for their approach to the mural preservation, recognizing it as a significant design element and embracing it as an equally important aspect of the larger restoration project. Please welcome Alan R. Dreyfus, AIA, Associate Principal of Wiss Janney Elsner Associates, Inc. Alan, you're on mute. If you want to just unmute and then start up again. Thank you.
Okay, one more time. So this mural, which clearly is a crown of this this building, was only part of a very much larger project. And I wanted to thank Docomomo for this award on behalf of Dreyfus and Blackford Architects and with Gianni Elsner Associates for our work on the joint rehabilitation of the SMUD headquarters. The building is well known in Sacramento as an iconic example of postmodernism and especially this mural, which, as I said, is so beautiful and so outstanding on the building. I want to acknowledge the efforts, especially of Dreyfus and Blackford Architects, who are not only the firm that designed this building in 1960, but led the massive rehabilitation effort that brought new life to the SMUD headquarters while restoring all of its original architectural character. I also want to acknowledge our building envelope team at Gianni Elsner. The restoration project not only required restoration of the Italian glass tile mural, but also restoration of the Sanfordized aluminum spandrel and sunshade elements, the precast mosaic cladding panels, the terrazzo walkway at the base of the mural, the glazing systems, and all the waterproofing elements. I especially want to acknowledge Kyle Normandin, our conservator, for his mastery in the restoration of the Theibaud mural. As you might have figured out from my name, this project had special importance to me because it was my father, Albert Dreyfus, and his partner, Leonard Blackford, who were the original architects for the SMUD headquarters. I grew up with this building as part of the landscape of my childhood. To be able to participate in the restoration of the SMUD headquarters was a great honor for me, and I was actually able to share the progress of the project with my father while it was ongoing. He sadly died during construction, as did Leonard Blackford. But we were able to restore their best work. Again, I want to thank Docomomo for this award and salute their dedication to the conservation of the landmarks of the modern movement, like the SMUD headquarters. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alan, and congratulations. Thanks for sharing that great story with us. Please help me welcome my fellow juror, Robert Hruby, to present the commercial awards. Robert?
Unmute and video. Hello, everyone. I'm Bob Ruby, a member of the awards jury and a landscape architect. My business partner, Kevin Campion, and I lead Campion Ruby Landscape Architects in Annapolis, Maryland, designing mostly modern gardens for our mostly private clients. This is my first time on a Docomomo jury and my first introduction to this organization. So what's my connection to modernism? After studying architecture, I moved on to landscape architecture. And as a student, I was fortunate enough to be able to visit some gardens designed and built by the late James Rose. This started my fascination with modern landscape architecture. This also led to a research assistantship with the James Rose Center in Ridgewood, New Jersey, where I was able to help the center begin to document Rose's remaining gardens. See, his design process didn't involve making plans, so there would be no records of his legacy without this documentation. So it was a real honor to be asked to serve on this jury of distinguished experts in modernism. I learned a lot, and I was truly impressed by the quality of submissions and the level of work. I was especially pleased to see that the role of the landscape was a contributing factor for several of our award winners. In one case, it was all about the landscape. With that said, I will be presenting 2 awards tonight in the design commercial category. I'm especially pleased to give away the Commercial Design Award of Excellence for the restoration of Texwipe EarthCam headquarters, a rare corporate project by avant-garde landscape architect James Rose, who, along with Garrett Echo and Dan Kiley, initiated landscape architecture's modern revolution in the 1930s. Constructed in 1985 on 10 acres of land in northern New Jersey, Rose created his distinctive obtuse angled interlocking space form using pressure-treated landscape timbers. His choreographed landscape meanders like a stream through the modulating space, punctuated by pagoda-like bluestone lanterns, rock ikebana, tree root sculptures. When Texwipe relocated in 2001, the James Rose Center documented it in a series of measured drawings and photographs. In 2013, EarthCam purchased the site for its new corporate headquarters and provided aerial drone technology to pinpoint the precise forms, locations, and orientations of Rose's irregular site features and space. The project repaired and revitalized one of the few surviving works of an important landscape pioneer and challenges the popular myth that modernism and environmentalism are at cross purposes. Please help me welcome Kevin Hoffman of the James Rose Center to accept the award.
Thank you so much, Bob. And thank you, Docomomo. James Rose, sometimes referred to as the, quote, James Dean of landscape architecture, was actually expelled from the landscape department at Harvard in 1937 for his refusal to design in the prescribed Beaux-Arts tradition. In the 3 years immediately following his expulsion, Rose published 19 incisive articles in Progressive Architecture and Architectural Record, which played an integral role in defining the nature and direction of modern landscape architecture. Throughout his career, Rose continued to write and to design modern landscapes, completing hundreds of distinctive built works and publishing scores of articles and 4 unique books. Perhaps most notable of his designs was his own home in Ridgewood, New Jersey, built in 1952. Here, Rose's fusion of designed in and outdoor space was intended to change, and is now a project we at the James Rose Center are fundraising to rehabilitate. You see it behind me here. In fact, most of Rose's built works were residential, so the Texwipe EarthCam campus was somewhat unique in that regard. But like all of his works, it expressed his characteristic, restless, modern spatial choreography, his use of found and recycled materials, and his frank and beautiful expression of site features and functions. I'd like to acknowledge EarthCam CEO, Brian Curry, who discovered the site after it had been abandoned for over a decade, and he became determined to rehabilitate it. As well as, I'd also like to thank the James Rose Center's director, Dean Cardasis, and intern Karen Krolowitzki for their roles in researching and documenting this project. And lastly, thank you once again, Docomomo, for this recognition.
Congratulations, Kevin. It's great seeing you there in the James Rose Center. Let's see. The next award is a design citation of merit for the completion, oops, just lost my text, excuse me. A design citation of merit for the completion of the TWA Flight Center renovation and the creation of the TWA Hotel. Designed by Eero Saarinen and Associates and opened in 1962, it's one of the world's most iconic examples of modern architecture. The second phase of the project, for which this award is given, completed both the interior and exterior Flight Center restoration and expanded the project for the new hotel use. The new hotel wings are positioned outboard of the Flight Center's 2 connector tubes, preserving the historic view of the main entrance. Sheathed with dark gray glass curtain walls, the hotel wings are complementary but distinguishable from Saarinen's original design. Restoration of the Flight Center involved work on the exterior shell, curtain wall, and entrances, interior renovation of the split flap solari boards, 20 million penny tiles, chili pepper red carpeting to match existing samples, upholstery and ornamental metalwork in the First Class Ambassador Club, and original reception desks. Vacated in 2002, the Flight Center opened for business as the TWA Hotel in May 2019 as a striking model of creative adaptive reuse while preserving the original spirit of the site. Please help me welcome Anne-Marie Lebrano of Lebrano Ciavera Architects and Richard Southwick of Beyer Blender Bell to accept the award.
Thank you, Robert. On behalf of the 220 firms that collaborated to create the TWA Hotel, we would like to thank Docomomo for this design citation of merit. As you can imagine, to be given the opportunity to reimagine the Saranin Flight Center as an airport hotel continues to be, for my partner Leah and me, the experience of a lifetime. We would like to thank the supportive partnership of the Port Authority and give special thanks to our client, Tyler Morse of MCR Morse Development. Saranin's Flight Center would not have been saved without Tyler's focus and vision. As the design architects for the project, Tyler allowed us the opportunity to turn our most restrained and our wildest ideas into a reality. We very much appreciated the voice of Docomomo, who actively participated as members of the project's redevelopment advisory committee during the development of our design. And in particular, a special thanks to local Nina Rappaport for her meticulous feedback on the details for the skin of the new hotel buildings. Her understanding of our intent to reimagine the limitless sky plane and the depth of the original airfield that had once been Saranin's site were critical to the success of our design process.
Congratulations, Anne-Marie. Is Richard going to come on?
I am.
Great.
The video should be there. Well, thank you, Anne-Marie, and thank you particularly Docomomo. I'm really thrilled to accept for the second time the Modernism in America Award for TWA. In 2015, we received the award for the initial preservation planning and restoration of the flight center. But unfortunately, the building had remained vacant for another 8 to 10 years after the completion of that project. Today, I'm really glad to say that after being vacant for over half a century, the TWA Hotel is now once again open and open for business. I want to thank a strong team of collaborators that we've worked with, including Legrano Chiavera Architects, Inc. Architects who worked on the interior design of the event spaces, Stonehill Taylor on the hotel rooms, Matthew Nielsen Landscape Architects, and especially the inspired vision of the owner and operator, Tyler Morse of MCR Development. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Anne-Marie and Richard. Please help me welcome my fellow juror, Alan Hess, to present the residential awards.
Thank you, Robert. I'm announcing the residential awards, and I am speaking from my 1972 Walter Richardson designed tract house in the master plan city of Irvine, California. I am an architect. I'm on the boards of Preserve Orange County, an advocacy group here in Orange County, and also on the board of the Palm Springs Modernism Week, which every year, even during the pandemic, is providing education and tours, albeit online, of the great architecture there in Palm Springs. I also serve as a commissioner on the California State Historic Resources Commission, but especially for this group, I think I would like to boast about my nomination of the oldest remaining McDonald's stand, which is in Downey, California. I nominated to the National Register in 1983 when it wasn't easy. It was great to be on this jury and to see the range of projects all over the country. I'm especially impressed by the local groups, small groups in different cities all across the nation that are doing just great work. And shout out especially to the hard work of people in Tucson, Reno, Las Vegas, Palm Springs, Phoenix, Kansas City, Tulsa, Houston, and many, many others. For the residential awards, we have 3 of them, and I have to admit I crashed a party at one of these houses earlier this year, and the architect could not have been more gracious in letting me see it. The 3 architects of these 3 houses, 2 are famous, Joseph Escherich, Craig Elwood. And the third is an unknown, Walter White. But it just points out to me how much information is still out there to be discovered, how many great architects we need not only to know, but to preserve their works. So to present the awards, the first one, the Residential Design Award of Excellence is given for the restoration of the Hunt House, completed in 1957 and designed by Craig Elwood with design associate Gerald Lomax in Malibu. Honored as an Architectural Record House of the Year in 1959, it is a quintessential example of California modernism. In 2013, a demolition attempt was thwarted by local community outcry, and a new preservation-minded owner was found. In 2018, with a team of Elwood experts, including James Tyler, FAIA, the firm's chief designer after Lomax left in 1963, and a skilled team of architects, designers, and craftspeople who had worked on 3 previous Elwood homes. The team utilized the entire archive of acquired original plans, publicity, original furniture, and numerous iconic Marvin Rand photographs to gain a precise understanding of every aspect of the original construction. And here to accept the award are Barton Janke, of previous partners, and Diane Bald, the homeowner.
Hi, everybody. How are you? You know what? Throw it over to Diane. You know, I'll say a couple things really quickly and then pass it over there. You know, Diane and Michael are wonderful people who decided to take on a deep dive of a project that you would never want to try and do. And I think that we're very fortunate to have them out there leading the way. Diane's a great architect and, you know, SciArc grad coming from the old school, and they took on a couple of these houses last year. They even have a house in Palm Springs that they had put on the registry. You know, they're wonderful. And she dove right in, no loss of language translation about any of the work. And it was amazing. I mean, they supported everything. Diane led the way and just did a great job. And the house is gorgeous. Jim Tyler, amazing. The whole Budman Bald family, just wonderful. You know, Alan's a West Coast guy. He knows how it works out here. We're having a lot of buildings fail these days, and this was good timing and literally dream project, never going to happen again for us. I mean, it just was, everything crashed together at the perfect moment. And Michael and Diane, you know, you did the right thing. And Diane, thank you for teaching us all so much. And you know, it's great. Dan Chafkin, great photos. Katie Horak and Evan St. Charles at ARG. They pushed this up 6 months to get us, you know, on the registry. Alan, you know, thank you as well for California side. And, you know, it's just a great group. You know, Ramiro and Tim, who've been with me on every job, they really did this job. I do a lot of palm shaking and, you know, smiling, and they carry it out. So Diane's vision was just awesome. So thank you, Diane and Michael, so much. And Diane, there you go.
Thanks, Barton. And thank you, Docomomo, for this incredible honor. We are an inspiring company tonight. My husband, Michael, and I were driving down Malibu Road in the May of 2010, dreaming about finding a little beach house like our small cabin in Canada. We saw a sign being put on the street that read, "For rent or sale, Craig Elwood." What lay beyond the unassuming facade was a complete surprise to us. We could not believe our eyes. This was a masterpiece of mid-century architecture. As we wandered through this beautifully designed space, I had the strongest protective feeling that I was meant to be the steward of this architectural jewel. I somehow knew that whatever happened over the next 8 years, this house was going to land in our hands. Although the Hunt House was true to its original design, it was in desperate need of repair due to the ravage of time. If it hadn't been for my brother-in-law, Jim Budman, this project would never have gotten off the ground. Not only did he seal the deal, he was also our eyes and ears on this project, and most importantly, assembled the dream team of Barton Jenke, Jim Tyler, and the amazing group of craftsmen who had just restored 3 Elwood houses. The opportunity to work with Jim Tyler at age 85, whom ordained this project, was like having the Elwood office on site. I kid you not when I say every inch of this house was touched by hands that transformed it back to its past and led it into the future. We were lucky to acquire the entire archive and original furnishings at auction, which kept the whole project authentic. As well, we were used all the remnants of wood and hardware from previous Elwood houses. My family and I are big believers in preservation and have had 2 homes put on the National Registry for Historic Places this year. I'm grateful they trusted my vision to preserve this important historic site so that it will stand for generations to come. Thank you, Docomomo, for recognizing this labor of love and for continuing to shine light on the importance of preservation. You can follow the whole process of this restoration on my Instagram at hunthouse_Malibu. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Yes.
Great. Thank you very much. The next award, the jury award for a design citation of merit, is for the restoration of Sea Ranch Mini Mod number 3. Along the rugged Sonoma coast lies the Sea Ranch, a weekend community and cultural experiment based in 1960s idealism. Predating current conversations about small space living and timber construction technology by almost 50 years, developer Al Boki and landscape architect Lawrence Halprin envisioned an ecologically minded community that sought to preserve the 10-mile stretch of the California coastline through innovative planning. Mini Mod number 3, designed by Joseph Escherich with his associate, George Holmesy, blends naturally with its surroundings and is the only home that retains its original size and layout. In 2017, Frame Studio saw the opportunity to further restore the property, and with the original plans as guiding document, they restored plywood cabinets, rebuilt bunk beds, upgraded mechanical systems, and incorporated colorful super graphics in a nod to Barbara Stoffaker Solomon. In keeping with the original spirit of Sea Ranch, the home is available as a part-time vacation rental, affordable on, quote, an architect's salary. With us tonight to accept the award is Chad DeWitt of Frame Studio.
Thank you so very much to Docomomo for recognizing Frame Studio's work on the Mini Mod. It's such an honor to be amongst such giants in the preservation field. And to put this home into context, it's important to remember that the footprint of this home, which is 20 by 20, is about the size of 2 parking spaces in the TWA hotel parking lot. So despite its diminutive size, it's a very livable 2-bedroom weekend home spread out over 3 levels. It's also a project that's very, very, very close to my own heart, as it's my own first home. The home is located, as Ellen said, at the Sea Ranch, in a community born out of 1960s environmental and social idealism that my husband and I strongly feel are still relevant today. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for the brilliance of Escherich and Holmesy, which the Frame Studio team sought to update the home, but being very careful not to upstage or stray from their original ideas. I had the privileged meeting with George prior to his passing, discussing my plans, being reminded not to design for Thanksgiving, as he said, learning about how Escherich's project was tasked with creating a prototype for a home that could be inexpensively built on any site by someone on a school teacher's income. One of the criticisms of the Sea Ranch community is that it's become a coastal enclave for the very rich. And I counter that this home is the embodiment of the original democratic ideals that Sea Ranch was based on. Good design is accessible to everyone on all budgets. And because of this, my husband and I feel an important part of being stewards of this home is sharing it with others, which is why being on the short-term rental market and keeping the short-term rental market alive in communities like Sea Ranch is so very important. I very much want to thank my team, Frame Studio, the Sea Ranch community, my husband, James, for not divorcing me through this project, and then most importantly to George's daughter, Diana Holmesy, who has been an incredible cheerleader and even in times has been as if you're speaking to George himself as she produces these wonderful drawings and notes and things that they had. So thank you for Docomomo for all that you've done. And it's such a privilege to be a part of this.
Thank you, Chad. The third House Award is a design citation of merit for the restoration of the Miles C. Bates House, completed in 1955 by architect Walter S. White and known as the Wave House for its striking roofline in Palm Desert, California. White worked with Rudolf Schindler and Albert Frey and developed inventive design and construction techniques influential in the harsh desert of the Coachella Valley. In the years after its completion, a series of additions overtook the legibility of the home's dramatic roof line, and a period of vacancy threatened its integrity. Stainer Architects purchased the home and embarked on a restoration that included the removal of non-original additions, which revealed original features such as the original ashwood paneling and joinery. The terrazzo floor, wooden roof, and masonry walls were restored to match their 1950s condition. The restoration also placed an emphasis on restoring the experience, the desert landscape, ambient sounds, smells, and textures. To ensure the home has a future use, the house was reborn as a space for all to visit, hosting artist residencies, educational tours, overnight stays, and events. And with us now is Christian Stainer of Stainer Architects.
Hello, greetings from Los Angeles, about 2 hours northwest of the Miles C. Bates House and about an hour north of Irvine. On behalf of Stainer Architects, I want to convey our thanks and appreciation to Docomomo. The project design, development, and construction team included Walter S. White, the original architect, and not the Breaking Bad one. John Going, the lead designer, Gilbert Stainer, and Kevin O'Donnell, who was our construction foreman in the 120-degree desert heat. More than the restoration of the original experimental house, this project is a partnership with a small city. Despite the Coachella Valley's importance to mid-century architecture, this is Palm Desert's first and so far only building on the National Register. We want to acknowledge the city's creative and frankly unbureaucratic response to preservation as they worked with us to come up with a way to restore the house and make its ongoing preservation economically viable. Specifically, we'd like to thank Mayor Susan Marie Weber, Cora Gagouche in the Public Works Department, Ryan Stedell of Community Development, and the Planning, Architectural, and Historic Resources Commissions that weighed in on the project. We're also appreciative of Professor Volker Weltner and his colleagues at the University of California at Santa Barbara, home of the Walter S. White Archives, as well as the Palm Desert Historical Society. Stainer Architects is a small architectural and development practice whose work focuses on material economies, from repositioning existing structures to constructing new buildings that responsibly use limited resources both in their construction and operations. We're currently in the process of designing a new building that will sit at the back of the property, further supporting the overnight experiential stays that started earlier this year, events, conferences, and an artist in residence program as mentioned. So on behalf of the entire team, thank you once again.
Thank you, Christian. And now for the next award category, I turn it over to my fellow juror, Emily Pulitzer.
Hello, I'm Emily Rao Pulitzer, a member of the jury, and I grew up in a Bauhaus influenced house built in 1938, which won the 2016 Docomomo Award for the best house restoration. That's my wonderful connection with Docomomo. That house has a huge impact on me and my future interests and involvements. In the mid-1990s, I commissioned Tadao Ando to design his first public building in the United States for the Pulitzer Arts Foundation. Although the construction was challenging, to say the least, the opportunity to be in that building and see different kinds of art in varying light conditions has been a great reward. More recently, I have been working with a developer to create near the Ando building a community of houses and condominiums by 8 outstanding architects. All this on a long street previously composed largely of vacant lots. I will be presenting 3 awards tonight in the inventory and survey category. The Inventory Survey Award of Excellence is given for Florida's mid-century modern architecture, 1945 to 1975. A survey undertaken to identify and assess Florida's buildings and structures that qualify for the National Register of Historic Places. Fueled by unprecedented growth in the decades that followed the Second World War, Florida became an incubator for innovative and often experimental modern architecture. Despite this, very few of Florida's mid-century modern structures have been recognized as significant and listed on the National Register. Nearly 600 buildings were recorded as part of this baseline inventory. Biographies were developed for 473 architects living and practicing in Florida, and over 300 companies were identified that were manufacturing building materials and systems during the period of study. A historic context statement was prepared, and 50 flagship structures were identified as priorities for listing on the National Register. Public input was solicited throughout the process, and a geospatially referenced database is being prepared to help map and share information with the public. To receive this award is Morris Hilton of the University of Florida Historic Preservation Program. Congratulations.
Thank you to Docomomo US and the jurors of this year's Modernism in America Awards. I'm pleased to represent the University of Florida Historic Preservation, a program of the College of Design, Construction, and Planning. What many of you may not know is that the University of Florida was among the first institutions of higher learning in the United States to offer historic preservation coursework under the leadership of Dean Turpin Chambers Bannister in 1957. Bannister was one of the founding members of the Society of Architectural Historians and the first editor of the journal. Over the last 15 years, the Historic Preservation Program has increasingly offered courses, engaged in partnerships, and undertaking research to identify document, and raise awareness of significant neighborhoods and cultural resources of the 20th century, in particular, mid-century modern architecture. In 2013, we had the honor, the Historic Preservation Program, of serving as the academic partner to the very first Docomomo National Symposium held in Sarasota, Florida. And Florida, the Sunshine State, certainly serves as a rich learning laboratory. Referencing the space program and Florida's role in development in the post-World War II period, historian T.D. Allman claimed the American century was launched and Florida was the launch pad. As noted, Florida's mid-century modern architecture study and report was an attempt to compile a statewide inventory of significant modern structures, architects, and building manufacturers, and to explore the sociocultural and architectural contexts and prevailing architectural trends. It was completed in less than 12 months, and it was a collaboration with the Florida Division of Historical Resources, our Florida State Historic Preservation Office, and the Florida Trust for Historic Preservation. With the help of the Florida Trust, the results of the study and the proposed documentation framework, guidelines, and recommendations were shared with stakeholders as part of 4 workshops held across the state. I'm pleased to say that outcomes have included several National Register of Historic Place nominations for the 50 flagship structures that were referenced, and we are indeed preparing for the development of a geospatially referenced database to share this information more broadly. So I'd really like to recognize an amazing cadre first of students, graduate research assistants, including Kathleen McDonald, Jacob Catane, Analuka Chakraporty, Mayrelis Perez Hernandez, Kira Lucas, and Manvi Chawla, our wonderful photographer, Paul Prevet, and our very, very talented graphic designer, Clarissa Carr. But in concluding, my most heartfelt gratitude and thanks goes to my co-investigator in the study, Chris Madrid French, who served as an adjunct professor at the University of Florida Historic Preservation Program and is Director of Development and Marketing for the California Preservation Foundation. Chris brought so many things to the project. But in addition to being the first Director of Modernism in the recent past at the National Trust, Chris brought moxie, tenacity, and unlimitless energy that inspired us all, the whole research team, to complete what seemed like a daunting task in an unbelievably short period of time. And I think Chris is going to share with you, you can still contribute to the database, which is now at over 800 structures. She's going to put a link where you can let us know about other Florida mid-century modern. So again, thank you all for honoring us.
Thank you. And an award well deserved. The next award goes to the Getty Conservation Institute and Getty Foundation. The jury awards a special citation for documentation to Keeping It Modern and Conserving Modern Architecture initiative. The Getty Foundation and Getty Conservation Institute, the GCI, have long understood the risks facing modern architectural resources. They have sought to address these issues through 2 complementary programs. The Conserving Modern Architecture Initiative, CMAI, is a comprehensive, long-term, and international program of GCI, which aims to advance the practice of conserving 20th century heritage with a focus on modern architecture through research and investigation, the development of practical conservation solutions, and the creation and distribution of information through training programs and publications. Projects of CMAI have included the Eames House Conservation Management Plan, restoration of teak windows at the Salk Institute, and addressing challenges of reinforced concrete buildings and structures, among others. In 2014, the Getty Foundation launched the Keeping It Modern, KIM, grant program to complement the CMAI efforts. Now in its final year, it has supported 77 grant projects of outstanding architectural significance that contribute to advancing conservation practice. Susan McDonald and Antoine Wilmering of the Getty are here to accept the award.
Hi, and can I say how truly thrilled we are to have our work at the Getty recognised by such an incredibly important organisation. We're so grateful and we're proud and we're humbled by the award. Docomomo's been part of my life since as a young architect. I was embraced by and benefited so hugely from the personal and professional experiences that are this organisation. When we were developing our program back in 2013, Docomomo USA was one of the first ports of call for us to discuss what was needed to advance the field and to help us identify where we would be able to best focus our efforts to conserve modern heritage, and also to build on and to support and engage in the work that was already being undertaken by others. Some 8 years later, I think we've managed to achieve quite a lot. Often in partnership with other organisations around the world, including Docomomo. I'd just like to honour and acknowledge the incredibly talented team at the GCI, our many consultants and our partners, both past and present, who make all of this work happen. It's their passion and their dedication and aspiration to this cause that really provides so much joy to me on a day-to-day basis and is a constant inspiration. So thank you so very much.
And at the Getty Foundation, we feel extremely honored and proud to be the co-recipient of this special citation. And we are thrilled that this recognition comes from such a renowned organization as Docomomo USA. Between 2014 and 2020, Keeping It Modern has supported 77 grant projects around the globe that demonstrate how research and planning can garner the support of government officials, local stakeholders, as well as point the way to developing a sensitive, sensible, and sustainable conservation measures for modern buildings now and into the future. And as a service to the field, our grantees are making their reports freely accessible through the Keeping It Modern online report library. And I will put the link to the library in the chat in a moment. On behalf of my Getty colleagues, thank you Docomomo USA and members of the board and the jury for recognizing the positive impact of Keeping It Modern. I also want to acknowledge my fabulous team, Alison Riley and Casey Devine, and my wonderful colleagues at the Getty who over the years have provided invaluable support for Keeping It Modern and have helped me with keeping it together. Thank you.
Thank you. The next award is the Survey Award of Excellence and is given to the Eames House Conservation Management Plan, CMP, a project undertaken by the Getty Conservation Institute to create a tool for the Eames Foundation in its ongoing care and management of the Eames House. Designed by Charles and Ray Eames, the Eames House is more than just a great work of architecture. The three elements of the site, building complex, landscape, and collections, are interconnected and fundamental to the significance of the place. The site tells a remarkable story about the role of California modernism within an international context and provides an intimate view into the Eames's lives, opening a new understanding of the human side of modernism. The CMP uses a values-based conservation planning methodology to emphasize the significance of intangible values as well as physical aspects of the place. It takes a holistic approach, analyzing the entire site and all of its elements, followed by detailed conservation objectives designed to guide future preservation, rehabilitation, interpretation, and management of the site long into the future. Please welcome Chandler McCoy of the Getty, who will receive this award, accept this award.
Thank you very much, Emily, and thank you all. It's a great honor to have Docomomo US recognize our efforts with this distinguished award, and it's a great honor to be included among this incredible roster of 2020 projects tonight. Like Susan McDonald, Docomomo US has been part of my life since the mid-90s, and I give it a lot of credit with shaping my professional career. So this is a special honor for me as well. In 2013, the Eames Foundation approached the Getty Conservation Institute, who had just recently established its Conserving Modern Architecture initiative, with a request for some technical assistance for the Eames House. We realized that the best way we could help them was to write a conservation plan that would guide their management of the place, not just for their immediate needs, but for years to come. Although the CMP format was not widely used in the US, we wanted to demonstrate its adaptability to modern sites and how it would work for a place like the Eames House, where significance lies in its architecture, its landscape, and also in its collection. It was written to benefit the conservation of the Eames House, of course, but it was also written to share with the modern preservation community as a model to demonstrate what a CMP can do. It is posted on our website and it's available as a free download, and I will attach a link in the chat box at the end of my talk and hope you will have a look at it. I'm representing a great team of conservation professionals here tonight who worked on this exceptional CMP. This includes GCI staff members Gail Ostergren, Susan McDonald, and former GCI staff members Laura Matarese and also Kyle Normandin, and our consultants in Sydney, Australia, who are with us tonight watching, Sheridan Burke and Jyoti Somerville. I also want to mention Lucia Dewey Atwood of the Eames Foundation, who was our steadfast partner throughout the preparation of this plan. I believe they are all watching tonight, and I want to acknowledge their significant contribution to this beautiful document. All of us are very grateful to Docomomo US for this award, and we especially want to thank the members of the board and the awards jury. Thank you.
Congratulations. Todd Grover will now present the Advocacy Awards.
Hello, I'm Todd Grover, Docomomo US board member and chair of Docomomo's National Advocacy Committee. The Advocacy Awards are determined by the board of Docomomo US and represent significant issues that arise across the country. One of the missions of Docomomo is the advocacy of these properties. And it's really important that we recognize these properties, but also continue on to the everyday struggle that we have in saving these important properties. I'll be presenting 2 awards tonight in the advocacy category. The first award is the Willert Park Courts 80 Price Courts. The Advocacy Award of Excellence is given to Willert Park Courts, the first housing complex for African Americans in Buffalo and an early example of international style design. Over the last 15 years, Preservation Buffalo Niagara and the Michigan Street Preservation Corporation have dedicated countless hours and resources to this preservation battle. Willert Park Courts was determined eligible for listing in the National Register of Historic Places for its significance in the categories of architecture, art, community planning and development, ethnic heritage, and landscape architecture. Designed by local architect Frederick C. Backus and completed in 1939, the project was one of the first built under the U.S. Housing Authority, created by Franklin D. Roosevelt as part of the New Deal. The Buffalo Urban League fought for years to allow Black residents into the Buffalo Municipal Housing Authority, or BMHA, properties, but were continuously denied. BMHA eventually agreed to construct the racially segregated Willert Park Courts. The project manager of the development was A.D. Price, the only Black senior district manager in the BMHA, who the complex was later renamed after. BMHA has continuously blocked the National Register nomination and has chipped away at this complex bit by bit. Preservation Buffalo Niagara and the Michigan Street Preservation Corporation raised the profile of the site through letter writing and press conferences and offered BMHA the interim solution of naming Preservation Buffalo Niagara as the developer to save the remaining portion of the complex. Despite the clear community outcry, the future of Willert Park Courts is still uncertain. Here to accept the award is Jesse Fisher, Executive Director at the Preservation Buffalo Niagara.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this wonderful honor. I'm Jessie Fisher, the Executive Director of Preservation Buffalo Niagara, and I'm accepting this award on behalf of our organization, as well as on behalf of the Michigan Street Preservation Corporation and its leader, my dear friend, Mr. George K. Arthur, who couldn't be with us here tonight. Mr. Arthur grew up at Willert Park back when it was a segregated public housing complex, and he would go on to be a transformational leader in our community, fighting for equality of opportunity and to lift up all neighborhoods within our city. And that, of course, is where the story of Willert Park began. It is a story of one community's quest for inclusion and to carve out a home in an increasingly hostile environment. It is the story of agency in the face of systemic racism and how government policies would turn one of Buffalo's most diverse neighborhoods into one of our most segregated, a legacy that we are still struggling with 100 years later. We are so appreciative that Docomomo US has called out and recognized the beauty of this international style complex and its unique artistic details, which were also lauded at Willert Park's initial construction by the Museum of Modern Art, as well as the New York Times. But we are even more grateful that Docomomo has recognized the importance of this story within this award. Perhaps more than any other style of architecture, modernism is rooted in its practitioners' rigorous commitment to building a better world. And when we consider the sites that we are to save, we would do well to collect and amplify the story of the intentions behind the buildings themselves and strive to make our work to save this architectural style as rooted in egalitarianism and intention as the buildings themselves are. In the United States, fewer than 4% of National Register listings are directly associated with the history of America's Black community. While Willert Park has been recognized as eligible for a National Register listing, its current owner is blocking that designation while they fight to demolish this important part of our city. Awards such as these are incredibly helpful in bringing the increased recognition that may help us convince local governments to preserve this space and bring it back to life as home for another generation of leaders like George. Thank you.
Thank you. The second award tonight for advocacy is given to the Virgil Cantini Mosaics. The Advocacy Citation of Merit is given to the Virgil Cantini Mosaics, commissioned in 1964 by the Urban Redevelopment Authority, who invited Cantini to transform the Bigelow Underpass. In 2018, the mosaic was threatened when the city of Pittsburgh announced that they would fill in the pedestrian underpass that contained Cantini's mosaics and reinstall only 3 of the 28 panels. Through the Section 106 process, the Pittsburgh preservation community responded that the entire mosaic should be preserved. A Pennsylvania Historic Resource Survey was prepared, and following coordination and consulting among the Federal Highway Administration, PennDOT, Pennsylvania State Historic Preservation Office, and the consulting parties, the mosaic was determined eligible for listing in the National Register. The CAP project was subsequently redesigned to allow for the careful removal, storage, and reinstallation of the mosaic panels. As of May 2020, all 28 panels of the mosaics have been removed, inventoried, and created. The city is currently reviewing responses to an RFP to identify the new locations in Pittsburgh where the entire mosaic can be installed and restored. Here to receive the award is David Anthony from PennDOT and Brittany Riley from Preservation Pittsburgh.
Thank you, Todd. On behalf of the government agencies participating in this project, we thank Docomomo US for recognizing the collaborative process resulting in the removal and temporary storage of the Virgil Cantini mosaics. This preservation project would not be possible without the hard work and dedication of the local historic preservationists recognized by this award. Throughout the Section 106 consultation process, these preservationists provided valuable information about the significance of the mosaics and shared ideas leading to an effective solution, all completed within a very short project schedule. As we move into the next phase of the project, which is the reinstallation of the mosaics, these consulting parties will continue to be an invaluable resource and partner in these preservation discussions. And now speaking on behalf of these consulting parties is Brittany Riley.
Thank you, David. And thanks to you for providing our entire team with the tools and guidance necessary to navigate what was a complex process and is ongoing. As one of 13 consulting parties engaged in protecting this comprehensive work of art, I'll speak for all of us in saying what an honor it is to have our multi-year collaborative efforts recognized. A special thanks on behalf of the consulting parties to the Pennsylvania State Historic Preservation Office for providing us a clear path forward. We had reached a milestone in our Section 106 process when this project was submitted to be considered for an award, and it is enormously encouraging to receive this accolade at a moment where we're continuing ahead with more work until the mosaic is reinstalled and restored to its full splendor in the city of Pittsburgh for the public. Thank you to Docomomo US for establishing such a vital and unique program, recognizing that preservation in action can take many forms. And to the jury and board for recognizing the integral significance of public art at mid-century in terms of its value to the historic fabric of our cities and towns. And finally, congrats to all the recipients this year. We are truly honored to be included amongst such an extraordinary array of projects. Thank you.
Thank you, David and Brittany. And now I'll turn it over to Hazel Edwards to talk about special citations and grassroots initiatives.
Thank you, Todd, and hello. I'm Hazel Edwards, member of the awards jury and chair of the Department of Architecture at Howard University in Washington, D.C. Last year, we hosted the D.C. chapter of Docomomo's Tour Day on our campus. This event celebrated the 30 buildings constructed at Howard between 1930 and the late 1960s. I was thrilled and honored to be invited to participate in this year's awards. I'll be presenting 4 special citations in a new category this year for grassroots initiatives. The first special citation for grassroots initiatives is for the Las Vegas Uncommon Modern Project, a combination of crowdsourced photo survey, community workshops, documentation effort, and exhibition to increase awareness of the mid-century heritage of Las Vegas. The effort was led by the nonprofit Nevada Preservation Foundation with the support of partners including the Urban Land Institute, Kristen Clark Photography, Dr. Robert Felden AIA, and dedicated staff and volunteers. The project aimed to elevate them in the community's collective memory and encourage a sense of history and pride around its mid-20th century built environment, and was successful in introducing new audiences to the region's significant modern architecture. By spanning the space between art and architecture, the crossover exhibition Uncommon Vegas brought in many new attendees, while the resulting publication allowed for the dissemination of the material to an even broader audience. Please help me welcome Heidi Swank, Executive Director of the Nevada Preservation Foundation, to accept this award.
Thank you, Hazel, and thank you so much. Nevada Preservation is absolutely honored to receive this award from Docomomo. As a historic preservation nonprofit located in Las Vegas, a city much more known for its implosions than for its preservation, we are thrilled to be among this year's awardees. When I think back to when Nevada Preservation started the Las Vegas Uncommon Modern Project, I'm still a little surprised at our daring, or maybe craziness, of an organization that was then just 4 years old to take on a project to document mid-century commercial buildings in the entire Las Vegas Valley. However, with our amazing volunteers and our dedicated staff, we located over 500 individual buildings through crowdsourcing and Instagram. but also held a workshop called Vacant Vegas that provided CEU credits to the trades and taught how to revive long vacant commercial buildings. Our photographer, Kirsten Clark, did a wonderful job of interpreting 100 of these buildings through her camera lens, with 25 of them becoming the Las Vegas Uncommon Modern exhibit, complete with an exhibit catalog of Ms. Clark's 100 buildings and all 500 captured by our volunteers on Instagram. I want to take a moment just to thank everyone who worked on this project. Of course, our Uncommon Modern team leads, in addition to me, were Michelle Laramie and Andy Formaster. And I'll say, I think Andy lost about a whole month somewhere of his life working on this project. But then, of course, all of our many volunteers. These are Allison Yanez McKay, Cheryl Hobbs, Courtney Mooney, Jackie McCarthy, Josh Rogers, Michelle Popejoy, Michelle Ewell, Scott Swank, Tina Balint, Valerie Hecht, and Wendy Van Vactor. I also want to thank our sponsors and our board of directors for their support. Many of our board are here tonight, including Nicole Willis-Grimes, Russ Rowe, Jennifer Gaynor, Frank Woodbeck, Amy Raymer, and John Sparer, as well as Nevada Preservation's executive staff, Susie Van Ness and Mariana Ruiz. There is a link to our project website in the chat, so please do take a look. And again, thank you for this award. It means so much for such a young organization to receive this recognition. Thank you.
Congratulations, Heidi. Our second special citation for grassroots initiatives goes to the Mod Texas project, founded by Amy Walton in 2018 to champion preservation organizations who are engaged in work to celebrate and protect architecture from the mid-century. The Mod Texas campaign calls upon Texans to participate in Mapping Mod, an Instagram-based initiative to document modernist architecture and design. While many historic, preservation, and architecture societies are active regionally, this initiative brings them together in a shared mission of highlighting Texas's trove of mid-century assets for natives and visitors to enjoy. The crowdsourced effort has engaged over 20 local organizations and students at local universities in identifying and tagging modern sites on Instagram, which are then mapped based on their geolocation. The project maintains interest and fun by focusing on different themes, such as roadside attractions, public spaces, and brutalism, and choosing winners each month. Please help me welcome Amy Walton of Mod Texas to accept the award.
First, I'd like to thank Docomomo. The national office, along with Mid-Tex Mod, Houston Mod, and Docomomo North Texas have been important partners in our work. A special thanks to Ben, Kelly, Marty, David, Jess, and Bob. My love of history, small towns, and old things comes from my mom, Cindy Walton. And while she's more of a traditional gal, I have a fascination with the mid-century, likely influenced by a childhood filled with Nick at Night classics. Mod Texas was created to document our state's optimistic, challenging, and even mundane designs, and to celebrate the nonprofits preserving our histories and built environments. It's an honor to shed a light on their good work. Tonight's credit goes to all the Mod Texans who are helping us take a stab at surveying 236,000 square miles. Y'all are curious and creative and eager to learn. This project doesn't exist without your photos, memories, and research. I can't wait to see what we're going to learn together each day. If you haven't visited us on Instagram, consider this your personal invitation. We hope it will help you take a vacation in your mind or plan your next road trip to see treasures like Frank Lloyd Wright's Kalita Humphreys Theater, O'Neill Ford's Hemisphere 68, and Charles Luckman's Mission Control. Finally, I'd like to add my congratulations to everyone tonight, especially the grassroots initiatives. It's really exciting to see how y'all are growing the next generation of preservationists. Congratulations and thank you.
Congratulations, Amy. The next special citation for grassroots initiatives is awarded to Pines Modern, a multifaceted project led by architect Christopher Rollins. Until recently, Island Pines, was only partially understood in cultural terms and entirely forgotten as a site of architectural experimentation. This changed in 2013 with the publication of Rollins' book, Fire Island Modernists, which told the story of architect Horace Gifford, pairing social history of the LGBTQ community with the architectural history of the area. Rollins established Pine Modern in 2016 to expand on this story, encompassing the entire mid-century arc. The centerpiece is a streamlined website that features 63 mid-century homes. The website is optimized for personal walking tours with audio commentaries to accompany its imagery, interweaving stories of their architects and equally colorful patrons. One newly researched home is added each month with a house of the week featured on social media. Rollins also leads popular biennial Pines Modern House tours, the proceeds of which fund professional photography, archival storage, drum scanning of vintage slides, and website development. Please help me welcome Christopher Rollins to accept the award.
Thank you. Yes, I'm Christopher Rollins, and I'm the founder of Pines Modern. And, you know, I'm a practicing architect for the most part and did not consider myself to be a scholar or a writer, but I was smitten with the poetic and seductive beach houses that I encountered in Fire Island Pines. So I wrote an article for Modernism magazine, and it could very well have ended there, but Docomomo reached out to me way back in 2011 to give a talk. My book, Fire Island Modernist, which I'll shamelessly hold up here, followed that confidence building lecture. And Pines Modern just basically broadened the scope of inquiry. And I feel like it finally achieved critical mass this year. Docomomo saw that I was onto something in 2011, and its recognition of Pines Modern tonight is a gratifying bookend to really a decade of research. Of course, many people assisted me along the way, and I'd like to recognize a few of them now, beginning with Raphael Kalinowski, the architect responsible for our elegant website, if I do say so myself, pinesmodern.org. And Raphael and Ariana Dusso have also helped to restore several homes that Pines Modern has documented via my architectural firm, Rollins Design. Tom Sibley is a photographer who has brought so many of these homes to life. Metropolis Books and Gordon DeVries Studio, the co-publishers of Fire Island Modernist, who took a chance on an unknown writer. Wendy Silverstein and Associates, who will make sure that everyone knows about this award. And finally, to all of our friends, clients, and collaborators in Fire Island Pines. Thank you so much, all of you.
Congratulations, Christopher. Our final award of the evening is a special citation for grassroots initiatives for Queens Modern, a documentary website created by Frampton Talbert that serves as a unique repository of Queens architecture and design of the modern era. Primarily developed starting in the 1930s, Queens has a younger building stock encompassing Deco, modern, and contemporary styles, yet almost none of the architecture from these eras is protected or preserved. Queens Modern began in 2014 as a survey, study, and digitization of projects that received commendation from the Queens Chamber of Commerce Building Awards program from the 1930s through 1970s. With grants secured from the New York State Council on the Arts and the James Marston Fitch Charitable Foundation, Talbert visited sites and interviewed those with connections to the buildings. Since completion, the website has been covered by major media outlets, is used as a research tool by other local organizations, and perhaps most importantly, has spurred several requests for evaluation to the New York City Landmarks Preservation Commission. Please help me welcome Frampton Tollip to accept the award.
Thank you so much, Hazel. I'm so honored to buy this award tonight. Thank you to Docomomo US and the esteemed jury. First, I'll be brief as I'm the last award. Second, thank you to the Queens Preservation Council and Mitchell Grubler for nominating me. This project has really been a labor of love that I've undertaken for many years in my free time. Queens Modern bears the flags for local histories, untold histories, and alternative histories. The website features information on hundreds of buildings that help tell the story of the borough, banks, schools, parks, airports, restaurants, and more. I think this type of vernacular architecture gives the neighborhoods their character, but their stories are not really well known. And so I'm really excited to be able to tell the stories that help us understand the mid-century development of Queens and New York City more generally. I also want to thank, as Hazel mentioned, the Fitch Foundation and the New York State Council on the Arts for their past support of this initiative, without which I would not have been able to accomplish this work. And a huge thanks to all the property owners, family members of architects, and other experts who've been willing to give me the access, talk with me, and share their stories. I'm excited to continue sharing these stories and the architecture and history associated with them. Just this month, I've been able to secure the papers and photographs of Clara Coffey, the founder and principal of the landscape architecture firm Coffey, Levine, and Blumberg, which completed more than 100 projects in New York City in the 1960s and 70s, including 50 parks and playgrounds. And I'm working to get these papers into several archives to help tell Clara's story as the head of her own firm and as an innovative designer. I'm excited to continue raising awareness, promoting preservation, and discovering these projects and people. So thank you again, and congratulations to all my fellow awardees, especially my grassroots friends.
Thanks so much, Frampton. And that concludes this evening's ceremony. Again, please help me congratulate all of the 2020 Modernism in America Award winners. You can now find an announcement for all of the winning projects on our website, which is www.docomomo-us.org. And the full announcement will be in your inboxes in the morning. Again, thanks to all of you for joining us. Thank you so much to our jury, to the awards committee. It does take an exceptional amount of volunteer time to put this program together. And it also takes resources so that we can keep bringing this program to you. So again, thank you to Design Within Reach. Thank you to all of our sponsors. What can I say? It's been a unique and at times challenging year. And we appreciate all of your support and dedication to historic preservation and design. Thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you again next year under the Nelson Pendants. Thank you.